Hello, everyone. Oh, 100 people. Wow. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm good. I'm good. Always good to see you.
It's a pleasure. Okay. Should we start or should we wait for one more minute? What do you think?
Well, we could do some introductions to begin with.
All right, then after you, Tim.
Okay, cool. So, hi everyone. I'm Tim. I'm the demand generation manager here at Cognism. My role is to basically strategize and manage all of our demand gen activities, specifically targeting the sales audience. And being in the demand gen team, obviously, a big part of my role is working with Canberk and his team to create and execute our ads across a range of different paid social channels, but mainly LinkedIn. So I'm looking forward to deep diving into our ad creation process a little bit later on. But yeah, in the meantime, I'll pass you on to Jambert to kick things off.
Oh, this was a good one. And I was so not ready for this kind of interaction. So I'm Canberk, hi everyone, and I'm the global head of paid at Cognism. And we manage the paid media at Cognism, me and my team. Now we have 6 people in the team, and we do work really closely with the demand generation team. And it has been a really interesting process for us to build the whole paid team structure, whole ways of working with the demand gen team. And today in this call, we will be unlocking all of the details, both in the paid side and in the demand gen side. Okay, let's start. So I will start with our philosophy and how we came to this level. And starting with our philosophy, we have only one target. At the end of the day, that target is pipeline slash revenue. And all of the things we are doing is just to achieve our pipeline and revenue targets. And also, we are trying to get more efficient in every quarter when it comes to pipeline return on investment for each dollar spent. So it is not only spending the money and generating pipeline, but also we are trying to get more and more efficient every quarter. And to do that, we split our strategy into two: create demand and capture demand. On the create demand side, we are constantly educating our target audience, our target markets, and we are trying to educate our audience so that they will notice or they will know their pain points, even if they are not already aware. Because in most of the cases, they might not even be aware of their pain points. And the idea behind this is to educate them, and they will come to you when they are ready. On the capture side, it is about converting this audience when they actually raise their hands. And when it comes to channels, demand creation side happens on the awareness channels. And these channels are the ones where prospects spend their time, but they might not necessarily be looking to buy a software. On the demand capture side, this happens on the intent channels, and these channels are the channels that prospects search for what they are looking to purchase. On the awareness channels, we use LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. These have been our main channels. We have started to do YouTube on December, and we have started Reddit on February, in the beginning of February. And on the intent side, we are doing Google and Bing. We were also doing Capterra, but we stopped Capterra on February because the MQL to opportunity ratio and the pipeline coming from Capterra was not enough. And as I said, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and Google have been our flagship channels. And with the ChatGPT and Bing AI, we have started Bing more aggressively, I would say, around January. Although we were doing Bing from November, we increased the Bing budget by like 3x at the end of January. We have been doing YouTube as I said, since December, and we will be testing Twitter after next month. I will start with our channel strategy on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, to be fair, is the most important channel that we have. Most of our budget goes to LinkedIn, and we split our budget by create demand and capture demand. So it is not like LinkedIn is getting 70% of all the budget, but LinkedIn is getting 70% of the create demand budget. And as of April, we have more than 500 active campaigns on LinkedIn, and we are targeting four major personas: sales, marketing, revenue operations, and CSMs. And when it comes to account structure, uh, it was more like test and learn. Like, we didn't start with this account structure. It was a really simple version of it. But as we grow, as we scale, we had to split the account. We had to create a better structure. And currently, we segment our audience by location, persona, company size, job seniority, marketing stage, and the bucket. And with this split, we can actually understand what kind of content do we need, and what kind of content resonate the best with the specific audience. Uh, for example, do salespeople in the US prefer educational content over awareness content? And to give an example, it is like, we split the account. We have different accounts for US, IMA, and DA. Then we have the sales, marketing, DevOps, CSM. Under that, we have the bucket. It could be content, product value, thought leadership, social proof, and demo. Then general, enterprise, or all. ICP audience, senior audience, individual contributors, or all. Awareness, demo, and then the ad type: static, video, document, influencer, conversational. Now we have spotlight, text. To be fair, we are using all of the ad types on LinkedIn. And we are mostly using three objectives: reach, view, traffic, and conversions. However, reach objective gets the lion's share here. And yeah, speaking of the campaign objectives, reach. Yes, reach, reach, reach. We emphasize reach for a reason, because we came to understand that it is the best way to penetrate the potential audience. We tested all of the objectives with all of the different buckets, all of the different audiences, honestly, all of them. And we came to the conclusion that the reach objective is the most effective and cheapest way to reach the audience. And we use reach objective for the static ads that have messages which can be consumed in feed. So the prospect doesn't need to click on that. The prospect doesn't need to come to our website. They can consume the content within the app or within desktop. And with reach, we are not after CTR, we are not after traffic, we are only after engagement. uh, we also use the traffic objective when it comes to content ads, and we use traffic objective if in-feed consumption isn't the goal, like if we are promoting a blog post or a case study within our website. Video view is basically the reach for the video ads, and somehow if you use the reach objective for the video ads, your content doesn't get consumed very much. And yeah, we came to realize that video view is a much better way to make sure that your audience consume your content. And on the conversion side, we use the conversion objective only for the marketing campaigns, because using this objective actually hampers your reach. So if you have a target audience like 100K, if you use the conversion objective, you won't reach this audience. But if you have a remarketing audience that is like, I don't know, 5K, then this is a really good way to optimize your campaign. And as I said, we are using four objectives in our campaigns: reach, view, traffic, and conversions. There are other objectives on LinkedIn that we tested, and the engagement objective was one of them. And we compared with traffic objective with reach objective. But apparently, engagement objective works better if you're after event signups or company page followers. We don't do lead generation objective for obvious reasons. And there are only talent and job applicant objectives that we don't do. And yeah, content campaigns have the traffic objective. Demo remarketing campaigns have the conversion objective. product quality, social proof, thought leadership campaigns have the reach objective. But if there's a video ad in the product quality, thought leadership, or social proof bucket, then it will have the view objective. And to summarize, reach for infinite consumed content, traffic for outside feed content, for the website content, video view for video reach, and conversion for form submissions. And when it comes to understanding these objectives, the metrics that need to be taken into consideration are actually different. And when I evaluate, when I measure the success of a reach campaign, I don't do it with the same way I do for the traffic campaign. When it comes to reach campaign, I look at three important metrics: engagement rate, average frequency, total reach. And then I have the supporting metrics like cost per result and cost per reach. On the traffic side, the most important metric that I look at is the CTR. Then we look at reach, click to landing page, and CPC. And engagement rate and frequency are the supporting metrics. On the view campaigns, obviously view rate and 50% view rate are the most important ones. I tend to look at 75% of video completion rate, not for a specific reason, but I just like it. And on the conversion side, obviously conversion rate and number of conversions, cost per conversion are the most important metrics we check. So in a nutshell, for the objective KPIs on reach, in order to improve the reach campaigns, we really work hard for the ad copy and ad images. For the traffic campaigns, not only we work with ad copy and ad images, but also we put a lot of time to understand the landing page content and landing page experience. And it is like we are trying to use the Google ad quality score principles in the traffic campaigns, like landing page experience, content experience, and the ad copy experience. For the video campaigns, the ad copy and the video length are the main objectives we look at. And on the conversion side, apart from everything I just said, it is the value proposition, what we are offering in exchange of a demo request. So this is the platform structure and how we split the campaigns. And as I said, we start with the regions: US, EMA, UK, or DA, then personas, sales, marketing, or another persona, then the bucket: product value, content, social proof, thought leadership, or demo, then general company size, enterprise, or all company sizes, ICP audience, individual contributors, awareness or remarketing, ad type, and the ad objective. And this view gives us the full flexibility on understanding what is working and what is not, so that we can say, okay, this video campaign is not working, but why? Is it because of the audience? Is it because of the company size? Let's compare. So if we see a video campaign is not performing, we first compare the same campaign, same ad, with the enterprise versus general. Then among the regions, among the job scenarios, among the personas, so that we can understand whether it is the content or it is the audience. And frequency. Ad frequency is really important in our strategy, and we try not to increase the frequency more than 3.5, because we know that with higher frequency, the ad fatigue will come, and we need to serve enough content to our audience, okay, and they need to remember us, they need to know about us, but we shouldn't be serving the same content all the time, so that they will fed up. They will fed up with Cognism. Metadata released a book, released a ungated ebook last year, which was saying that frequency should not exceed 3.5. Refine Labs was saying up to 7 is fine. But when we did our own analysis, we came to realize that 3.5 is the ideal when it comes to awareness campaigns. But if it is a demo campaign, we go up to 5.5, at some point 5.75, depending on the campaign type. And on the optimization side, we run with sprints, and we do that together with the demand gen team. And the sprints are for 2 weeks, for 14 days. And when we run a ad, or when we run a campaign, the paid team starts with looking at that campaign on a 7-day view. How did the first 7 days go? And is there anything alarming? If not, okay, not touch, and carry on for one more week. And after 2 weeks, we come together and we talk about how it is going. Is there anything we need to improve, or if anything we can duplicate to have the success in another campaigns? And when optimizing the ads, we consider multiple aspects. So if it is a new campaign, the engagement rate; if it is a rich campaign, CTR; if it is a traffic campaign. But if we are talking about a long-term optimization, the frequency is the most important one. Like if we are seeing an engagement rate, if we are seeing a good engagement rate, but if the frequency is going up, we really monitor it closely. Like if we see a drop starting in engagement rate after the frequency hit at a certain level, then for us uh, it is a sign. And we just go back to demand gen team and say, look, this ad or this campaign is doing really well. However, the frequency is about to hit this level, and we are projecting to see a decrease in the metrics. So you should prepare a plan B. Uh, Other than that, when optimizing the ads, or when we create new campaigns, we do not choose auto placement. We try to use even rotation in all of the cases. Otherwise, LinkedIn algorithm goes crazy. And every time and every week, for all of the campaigns and for all of the S to be fair, the paid team goes and checks the demographic report by manually, so that if we see some weird job titles, if we see some weird industries, we remove them right away. This was the in-platform site, and we also have a more, I would say, extensive audit mechanism. The campaign audits generally take place on Google Data Studio and on Hockey Stack. And on the Google Data Studio site, we have created specific reports for each campaign, so that we can track the performance on the weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, in some cases on daily basis. And we also track the performance on the pipeline level with Salesforce and Hockey Stack. For example, this is the one that blew this image, is the audit guide. We have prepared audit guides for each of the channels, step-by-step audits. So even if someone joins the team, someone who doesn't know paid ads, they can follow this audit and they can get up to speed probably in a week. And this is an example of one of the campaign reports that we have on Google Data Studio for LinkedIn. And this is only for one campaign: EMA, marketing, thought leadership, general, ICP, static, reach campaign. We do track this on weekly, on monthly, on quarterly levels. And imagine that having the report for each of our campaigns, for each of our 500 campaigns. But yeah, we do track all of the metrics weekly for each of these campaigns. This was the in-platform side, and there's also the outside of the platform. And especially when we talk about the reach campaigns, when we talk about no-click campaigns, or impression first, reach first campaigns. When we first started, it was not very possible to measure the success of create demand campaigns with the reach objective, because we were not getting any clicks, and we were trying to marry that data with our pipeline data. Like if we are seeing an increase in the pipeline, and if that increase is coming from organic visitors, then it must mean that our content is working. But we have integrated hockey stick at the end of December, and hockey stick is providing us an impression level data, and we have created these dashboards for each of the buckets, for each of regions campaigns, so that we can track from impression to closed one, so that we can now tie the impressions to revenue. For example, even if a product value campaign is not generating any conversions according to Salesforce or according to our data, we can see that actually the people who are seeing those product value ads are then coming to our website organically and converting. And just like last week, we discovered another really important data point. uh, it was how product value and social proof campaigns work together better than only product value campaigns. We understood with Hockey Stack that okay, we have sorry, uh, we have this data like from impression to closed one. We know the average conversion rate for the product value campaigns, but then we realized that people who have seen both product value and social proof campaigns, that they are 2x more likely to convert than people who have seen only product value campaigns. Although we were not seeing this kind of data before, we were assuming, but now we are sure that this holistic approach, this thought leadership social proof product value content approach actually help us to improve our conversion rates and shorten deal cycles much better. And when it comes to operation management, as I said in the beginning, we work really closely with the demand generation team. And the demand generation team works on the POV, content team, ad creatives, ad copies, and SS. And the paid team is responsible for the budget allocation, the campaign structure, the paid structure, the campaign optimizations, insights, and recommendations. And recommendations and insights could mean anything. Like it could be like we are running this campaign in the US for marketing, and apparently this team is working really well among the marketeers. Can we duplicate this for the sales team? Or vice versa. Or something like we are testing document as campaigns in the sales persona. Can we do the same for marketing persona? So it is about insights and recommendations all the time. And that's you, Tim.
Cool. Before I go into my part, we've got quite a lot of questions come in, so I was just
Oh,
wondering if we wanted to answer any of them before we move on.
sure. Oh my God, so many questions.
Yeah,
Just a second.
I didn't want
Hello,
to
everyone.
do a full power.
He- Hello from Paris, Berlin. Okay. Hi, Christina. Revos. What is your paid tech stack? So, starting with this one, we have Supremetrics connected with Google Data Studio. We have Hockey Stack. We have metadata for Facebook audiences. Let me look here. We are using Salesforce. We are using Mutiny. I use Spyful for Google Ads. And yeah, that's it really. Uh, what what counts as engagement? So engagement totally depends on the channel. For LinkedIn, engagement is a comment to your post, a like or a share or a share. But if we are talking about YouTube, apparently YouTube is also counting dislikes or skip ad clicks as engagement. Why you never use engagement objective? So we use that engagement objective, but comparing with reach and traffic objectives, they perform this engagement objective performed much worse. For example, we tested the same campaign with reach objective and engagement objective. Reach performed better. We tested with traffic versus engagement. Traffic did better. Like with traffic, we know that LinkedIn optimizes the campaign to generate you more website visits. Okay. With reach campaign, LinkedIn optimizes your campaign to reach the bigger audience, to reach your whole target audience. With engagement, okay, LinkedIn optimizes your campaign to get more engagement, but by doing so, it actually hampers your reach. But if your content, if your creative is strong enough, then you don't need to use the engagement objective. The audience engages with your content anyways. For conversion campaigns, we only use our website landing pages. We don't use any lead forms on LinkedIn. Assistant for individual contributors. Tick, tick, tick. Thank you. We don't use any lead generation campaigns, Lovro. Yes, we are live, Marcio. Sorry, I'm just so into it right now. We are tracking conversions with UTMs. Yep. Uh, uh, Ian Roderick. So actually, you can do it manually, and it is actually very possible. LinkedIn provides the impression data on the ad level. It does provide it on the campaign group level, campaign level, okay, but it actually even provides it on ad level. But you need to do it manually. You need to check your impressions, then you need to marry it with your CRM. But if you automate this process, this is what Hockeystack did. Uh, you can basically get the impression time from LinkedIn. Then you can merge that data if that data is available on your CRM. Like if you can do something like that. If they have seen if they've seen your ad, and if after 48 hours, if they come to your website, then it is not visual thinking. It is the data. Tick tick tick. I can talk about Facebook ads at the end. Yep. Tick, tick, tick. Uh, so when it comes to split, we split 65% of our budget for create demand, 35% for capture demand. On the 65% create demand, 70% goes to LinkedIn, 15% goes to Facebook, 10% goes to YouTube, 5% goes to Reddit. On capture side, 35 out of 35%, 28% goes to Google and 8% goes to Bing. Capter is no longer with us. Murtini is good. I would recommend it. And I tick, 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 tick. The 3 4 frequency of the which it is the ad level. So the 3 4 frequency limit, it is on the ad level, not campaign level. For campaign level, uh, to be fair, we have never hit 2 in the campaign level because we do that on the ad levels. Yeah, conversions are happening on the landing pages, and by conversion, what we mean is basically form submissions. For us, MQL or conversion mean one thing: if they submit the demo form or not. We cannot remarket people who have just seen our Facebook ad. It is possible on LinkedIn, but since Facebook is not a B2B first platform, they do not offer this kind of a thing. Is there any way to limit the time? The time a user. So, in terms of the production quality for video, to be fair, it depends. Like Tim could answer this question better, but our videos are not necessarily high-end productions. Some of them are really good productions, but some of them are basically me recording myself in a phone booth. Do you use third-party tool for automating processes like ad creation, smart budgeting? We don't use any third-party tools. For smart budgeting, I would say we are using maximized conversions in reach campaigns because it is mandatory. But on the traffic campaigns, I'm more like a conservative guy, so we use manual bidding for that. Uh, Robert, between Robert asked a great question between generating demand, capturing demand. I missed that question. Did I answer? Sorry, 65% create demand and 35% capture demand. I think there's yeah. So 65% create demand, 35 capture demand. Uh, sorry, I'm missing. Can you just stop for 1 minute? Sorry, I'm missing all of the questions. Uh, is there any way to limit the time a user is impacted by Tiago, I'm sorry, I couldn't get that question. Can you repeat that again? Like, sorry, I didn't understand that question. On the audience side, question on LinkedIn: what problems can we run into if Yeah, if it is 20K, I don't recommend running a cold audience. Like, okay, you can test with small budgets, like, I don't know, $40, $50, but I would recommend to have, like, if it is a cold campaign, like 70, 80K, because realistically we know that 30% of the LinkedIn audience is the active audience. They don't use LinkedIn. They probably just have the membership. So if you are having an audience size of 20K, realistically you have like 15K people, 16K people maximum, and probably these people are already being targeted by other companies. So your chances to target this cold audience is actually really low. Uh, we don't use LinkedIn pre-filled forms. We only use the landing page, but we do use LinkedIn conversational ads when it comes to marketing campaigns. If you want to show a set of ads to the same audience, uh, I would say separate campaigns. Sorry, let me read the question. If you want to show a set of ads to the same audience, do you recommend using ad rotation in the same campaign or splitting the ads in a separate campaign? So we generally do even rotation, but even rotation does not guarantee that that audience will see all of your ads. So if you want your audience to see all of your ads, having separate campaigns would be better. But what would be even better, probably to create a single image ad viewer remarketing for each campaign. So create one campaign with one ad, then create a remarketing campaign for the people who have seen the single image ad, then do the same for the second layer and the third layer. And yeah, I think I covered all of the questions.
Yeah, I'm sure we can get through some more at the end. But cool. So over the next couple of slides, I'm just going to share like our thought process behind all of the ads that we create, and take a deep dive specifically into our product bucket, and then give you some examples which hopefully give you some inspiration. So in terms of the process that we use, if I'm honest, there is no clear-cut process to the way that we create ads. But I guess if Canberk, for example, turned around to me tomorrow and asked me to create a new ad set, and I had a blank canvas to start from, I think there's a couple of steps that I can kind of go through with you that may help you. So I think the first thing, try to lead with a question in the main headline. It instantly helps grab the audience's attention, especially if this question then links to a common challenge that the audience is facing. I think the second thing is always include some kind of stock imagery or a graphic that illustrates the point that you're trying to get across. And with the image, you really want to try and tell a story. Like, it can't just be a random image. And I kind of see this as like a way, like a visual storytelling. And I'll kind of show you this and refer to this more in the next couple of slides. And it's always a bonus if you can add some kind of humor to it. Similar to what we've done on screen here. And then tie it all together with some kind of incentive, offer, or the asset that you want the audience to then click through. So again, using this ad as an example, we want the audience to go and click through to our 17 cold call openers. So obviously we don't do this for all of our ads, but our most successful ones do have this kind of sandwich approach where on top you have the question that then triggers the pain point, an image that then tells the story that you're trying to get across, and then the incentive or call to action at the bottom to then tie it all together. And then in terms of best practice, as Canberk mentioned, we have different campaigns running with different objectives. So it's really important to then create ads based on the campaign objectives that you're running, whether that's reach, traffic, or conversions. We do keep ad copy to about 150 words for some campaign objectives, so like traffic and conversions, which again I'll show you in the next couple of slides, and then we'll maybe use up to 300 for reach campaigns, and when we need to kind of get our point across more, where people are going to be consuming the ad in feed. You need to try and use bold colours as much as you can. It's a really quick win, in my opinion, to stand out in a noisy LinkedIn feed. as we always say, B2B marketing doesn't need to be boring. So always add in some kind of humor when you can, or use user-generated content, so memes and stuff like that. Most of our most successful ads have some kind of element of humor to them. A really important one, always be testing. At the moment, I think we do have a good idea on what creatives we think our audience like, but that's after like many iterations of ads, and you won't understand what's going to work unless you do try different things. And then the most important piece of advice from my perspective, before you push any ad live, I always stop it to ask myself, would I stop scrolling and notice this ad? And then if the answer is no, I'll spend more time on it. Like an extra hour or even a day perfecting an ad will potentially save you more time in the long run. And yeah, it will get you better results. And always ask for feedback. Whenever I'm creating ads, I'm always asking Canberk, oh, what do you think of this? So yeah, another important aspect. So as I mentioned, best practice is to try and create ads based on the campaign objective that the ad is going to sit in. So we've taken examples from 2 ads here that sit in different campaigns and have different objectives. So on the left-hand side, we have a social proof ad. Our social proof bucket is a reach objective. And as Canberk said, the goal of a reach objective is to get as many people as possible to consume this ad in the LinkedIn feed. So a couple of reasons why we chose this kind of creative for this ad. First of all, it's completely different to any other testimonial ad that you've likely seen. It's authentic. As someone's actually spent the time to post this on their personal network. This isn't like a repurposed quote from a case study. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I think this way it builds a lot more trust and in an unbiased way. And these kind of quotes or posts are dead easy to find. All you need to do is simply search your company name on LinkedIn, filter by latest posts, and then scroll down to see what people are saying about your product. And then the other reason that we chose this ad is that people are obviously, like I said, going to be consuming this in feed. So we want to give the audience as much detail as possible. And influencer posts like this are a great way to do it. So the written posts as the creative allows us to then tell a story, and then you have then more room to provide even more context or more information in the ad copy. And then on the right hand side, we have one of our demo ads. So for our demo bucket, we're looking at conversions, and we obviously look at ad creatives a bit differently for conversions than say reach campaigns. So for example, you can afford to have your ad copy a bit shorter. For demo ads, you should be using a retargeting audience, so people should already be aware of your solution. So you don't need to bombard them with how great your product is. So what we find best is let the creative do the talking. So like what we've done in this ad, can you tease incentives or offers with gamification or use humor to try and get your point across? And then finally, the CTA in all your traffic or conversion objectives is really important. Be clear and concise with the CTA, and yeah, ultimately be clear on what next step you want your prospect to take. So as I said, take a bit of a deep dive into our product bucket. So since our product bucket is a reach objective, we want the main message to be consumed in feed. I feel like I'm repeating myself. But in this instance, we want to get our product offering through to as many people as possible. And there's a couple ways that we do this and you can do this. So number one, show the audience that you understand the challenge. So in the top first example, we're kind of like using humor. We're using a typical workday scenario to illustrate this, and then grabbing their attention by triggering a pain point. And can you use humor? That's another thing. I mentioned our most effective ads have humor. It makes your ads more relatable, especially if the humor aligns to the problem your audience is actually experiencing day to day. I talked about visual storytelling. Can you illustrate a story to show life with or without your solution? Or before or after your solution. It's a really powerful way to do that. And then whatever story you want to tell through your ad, the closer you link this story to the problems your audience actually experiences, the more it will resonate with them, and ultimately the more success you'll have. And then finally, I know Canberk kind of mentioned metrics to track, but as a reminder, for reach campaigns and for our product value campaigns, we're most interested in engagement rate. So for us, anything above 0.5% engagement rate is an amazing ad. We're always trying to aim for 0.4 engagement rate, and that's a solid ad to us. And anything below, we'd likely turn off and pause and reiterate and optimize and try launch new ones. And then another thing that I closely monitor is cost per result against impressions. So if impressions are high and your CPR is low, it means that the ad is being consumed in the feed really well, which is ultimately what we want for reach campaigns. So here are some other examples from our product value ads that you can kind of lift and shift or take for or use for inspiration. So the first one, we're not actually allowed to use well-known memes anymore due to copyright issues. So we just thought, right, let's go and create our own. And an easy way that we kind of got around this is, again, to get stock photography and try and add speech bubbles to it to create like a typical workday scenario that your audience would go through. Second one, as I said, good versus bad is a great way to tell a story. Show the audience what life is like without your solution, and then flip it and then show what life is like with your solution. Really simple, but really powerful. Another option would be to gamify your ads. So we're doing this in a few different ways. You obviously saw the Wordle ad on the previous slide. And on this slide, we have an iPhone example where we're illustrating a typical conversation between a sales manager and a sales rep. And we recently just launched like our own Slack channel ad. And it's the same thing, but it's really powerful. Like seeing an iPhone conversation or a Slack channel is not something that you're going to see in your LinkedIn every day. So again, like it's bold, it breaks up the feed. It stands out in a noisy feed. And then another example, I didn't include it on here because I ran out of room, but it's not as creative, but it's dimensions and size. But one thing to think about is vertical size ads. So traditionally, marketing teams have kept to that standard 1:200 by 1:200 size, but you're gradually seeing more vertical ads. Well, I am anyway, and it's no surprise that we're seeing like the impression breakdown by device type is mostly now mobile. So if you can create an ad that takes up the whole of like your audience's phone when they're searching through LinkedIn, then you're going to have like a really good chance of capturing their attention. Cool. So to finish off, as I mentioned on my first slide, in terms of best practice when creating ads, test, and test again. And yeah, luckily for us, we have the help of Canberk and his team, who are in the platforms every day telling us what we need to optimize and what things we need to try. And one of the new things that Canberk recommended back to me in February was conversation ads. So for those not aware, because I didn't have a clue what they were when he first recommended them, but yeah, essentially what they are is you can retarget specific audiences, either website visitors or audiences that have already seen your ads, and then target them with an automated direct message, which is pretty similar to an in-mail. So if you're listening right now and you're testing video, static, vertical ads, all those kind of things, why should you consider conversation ads? Well, first thing, not many people are. Correct me if I'm wrong, Canberk, but I'm pretty sure they're cheaper than normal ads.
Almost free.
Almost free. So that's yeah, use them just because of that. Another thing, it humanizes your ads. So you can send automated messages from anyone in your company. We use our subject matter experts. Don't get me wrong, not everybody will like them, but if you set them up in the right way and take the principles that I've kind of outlined today, they can be really, really effective in generating pipeline, and we're seeing amazing results from it. And yeah, I guess the final thing was we're already serving our audience with loads of different format types, especially when it comes to retargeting and demo ads. We've got video, static, vertical ads running. So conversation ads are a way for us to be a bit more direct in our targeting and capture our audience's attention. So that's why we started experimenting with these. And then here's how we're seeing success. So again, lead with a question to capture attention and increase engagement, like what I've like the example on the print screen. We're retargeting audiences that are solution aware. So we're retargeting people that have visited our website and people that have consumed our product ads. So these people know who we are, they know what we do. So we can get straight to the point. There's kind of no fluff. We're concise and we get straight in. Can you get creative? Again, can you use user-generated content like memes or humor to get your point across? And most importantly, you need to give a reason as to why you're showing up in their inbox. So can you use an incentive to grab their attention, whether that's a free trial or a consultation? We use our 25 free leads offer, which works really well, which is no surprise. People always love a freebie. And yeah, I guess that's it really. As you can see, the same principles in terms of start with a question, integrate visual storytelling, try and add user-generated content, try and include humor. All those kind of principles remain throughout all of our ads, no matter what the format is. So yeah, I hope this part of the section was helpful for you and has at least given you some inspiration to ideate and create your next ads.
Thank you. Is it me? Okay.
We can move on to questions, yeah?
So many questions, Tim. And I think we have some questions for you as well.
Okay, perfect.
Let me send it to you. Here, from Libby.
Oh, what is the Cognism process for creative analysis? What do you mean by creative analysis? If you just want to post it in the comments. I guess it means like when you refining it. I think. Oh, what creatives are working? Okay, cool. So again, as I kind of said in my previous slide, well, my earlier slide, it's all about testing. So we have like an already good idea of what works well. So for example, one of our brand colors is like an orange, like a ready orange. Because like I said, we want to stand out in the LinkedIn feed with bold colors. We tried the red background, the orangey red background, and no matter what kind of design or graphic we put on it, even if it was a design that had worked really well previously and we put it on the orange background, it just did not work well at all. So I guess one thing to try is have the main message and have the main story in two different ads. Launch them both, but make them different. So try different colors. You might want to try a different image and launch them both at the same time. And that's the only kind of way to judge. But it's hard to kind of say. It's basically just a matter of testing. But what we're seeing work for us best right now is, like I said, lead with a question, have some kind of stock imagery to tell the story, and then have that CTA really, really clear. Just think of a sandwich. That's how I think of it. And yeah, I think that's another really good point. We have everything in-house. So it goes for like our graphic designers. So obviously as part of the DG team, we're always creating. We're like the kind of brains behind creating the ads, but then the graphic design team bring it to life. And I think it's really important. One of the most important things, because I was thinking about this morning, of having a graphic design team in-house, because in my previous place, the graphic design team was done by an agency, and just the matter of getting ads out and them actually understanding they work in your company, so they understand the key personas and the challenges. And I think it's a lot more quicker for them to grasp that and bring your ad to life. So I think that's like a really important part.
Okay, so should I start with all of these questions? Do you see any other question for you?
Well, we can get one of yours up first, and then I can have a scroll through.
Okay, because I just realized that we have a Q&A section. I was just going through the comments, and apparently there are a lot of stuff in the Q&As. Uh, so starting with the first one, you you mentioned in the last webinar that you don't recommend using the targeting based on. So yeah, Facebook's targeting function is not strong. It is for B2C, not for B2B. Therefore, if you use native Facebook targeting, you cannot target by job function, you cannot target by job title, by the company size, you can target by interest. But if you are selling a B2B SaaS product, then you cannot get success with an interest-based targeting. Uh,
There's a couple on conversational ads.
I'll start from the beginning. So I will come. I'm sorry about that. Like so many questions, I feel terrified right now. How do you justify the spend for rich campaigns? So at first, it was basically uh, estimating like, okay, we are spending this money to reach campaigns, and are we seeing an increase in the organic pipeline? Obviously we didn't start by allocating all of our budget to reach campaigns. It started with like 1%, then 2%, but as we increased the budget for these campaigns, then we were able to see a pattern that shows an increase in the organic pipeline. So we were able to say that, okay, as we increase the spend here, then this spend somehow comes us back as organic pipeline. Uh, do you have any benchmark figures to share on LinkedIn metrics? So when we started, there was no blueprint, so we had to create our own benchmarks. And to be fair, the benchmarks that we are using are different for each persona, each company size, each region. For example, when I speak with Tim, uh, we have a different benchmark for enterprise ICP salespeople in the US, but that benchmark is completely different than the EMA region. So it is about how your ads are performing and how they are going well. Like the actual benchmark should be to improve your metrics by X%. We start with like 50% compared to last year. Our engagement rate increased by more than 2x. In the last probably 3 quarters, but currently we know that we cannot do that. So now our metric is that to improve the engagement rate for each campaign by like 10% every quarter. How do you layer in channel audience targeting with uploaded list? So we do use lists for some campaigns, and yeah, we are lucky because we can use Cognism without any data limitations. And we actually combine that. Like if we are targeting an enterprise, if we are having an enterprise campaign, then we use the Cognism list, because we actually have a lot of different filters in the enterprise campaigns, like the tech that they are using, the tech that they are not using, uh, and LinkedIn does not provide that amount of data. Yep, I would say 90, maybe 95% of our ads are even rotation, because otherwise LinkedIn algorithm goes crazy. And even if you have 5 creatives, you end up seeing one of your creative is getting 90% of the budget and the rest is getting 10% in total. When a campaign is performing really well, but ad frequency is too high. So the ad frequency is there for a reason. Like it shows us if things are going well or will be going well. Okay, we are trying not to exceed 3.5 frequency on the campaigns, but this does not necessarily mean that we shut down everything after it is 3.5. When it is like 3, we go to the team, the DG team, and say, look, this frequency is getting higher. Be ready, because if we see a drop in the engagement rate, then we will have to pause it. But if we don't see a decrease in the engagement rates, we don't see a decrease in CTRs, then we keep the frequency. And for us, the decrease should happen for at least 2 weeks in a row. Like it can happen for 1 week, but it can be coincidental. But if we are seeing a decreased trend, then for us, it is something that we need to work on. So it is actually a bit like looking at an economic chart, looking at a stock chart or Bitcoin chart. It needs to be a decreased trend, not only one time. Tick, tick, tick. Sorry. If we have low traffic to our websites and limited budget, so for that, the best thing I can suggest is to create a reach campaign. Like you don't need to spend thousands of dollars. You can spend a small portion of your budget for a reach campaign or a traffic campaign. Probably traffic campaign would be better actually, because you will get traffic to your website. Therefore, if you create a traffic campaign, you can increase your website visitors, then you can create a remarketing audience. However, if you do it with a rich campaign, you can create a single ad image viewer remarketing audience on LinkedIn, which would be probably a bigger audience because it is a first party platform, so you won't have to deal with cookies, and also it will be cheaper. This is for you, Tim.
Do you start with copy or do you start with the creative concept? I start with that question, the main pain point, and I build everything around that pain point. So, for example, we were working on some ads the other day, and it was all around how our data is compliant. And so it made me think, right, okay, what are the dangers of sales reps ringing up prospects when they're not using compliant data, and what are the responses that sales reps get from using our data? So based off that, the leading question, the pain point was, are you using mobile data that is putting your business at risk? And then it had a stock photo of a speech bubble coming out the earphone going, how did you get my number? And then a salesperson looking all scared. So I'll always, when I'm coming up with idea, the main thing I like create the ad around is the leading question and the main pain point that I want the audience to be kind of triggered by. Oh yeah, that's me. And then yeah, that's how I kind of come up with the concept.
Cool. Can you talk about how you built the entire structure? Where did you start? How did you build on it after you start being successful? So I can talk about the paid structure, and we start with the really basic structure. Like there was regions and the personas, but we were able to see the increase in the performances. And as we saw that increase in the performance of the campaigns, we knew that it was necessary to split the campaigns to get even better results. Because what works for an STR might not necessarily work for an account executive or a head of sales. Therefore, we had to split as we grow. But we didn't create the perfect structure. And even now, our structure is not perfect, but we didn't create this comprehensive structure in one day. We use metadata for Facebook targeting. However, we blend metadata with Cognism. So we upload the Cognism list to metadata, and metadata match that list on Facebook. And it has been doing amazing. Like we have been generating a lot of good conversions. And actually, a couple of days ago, we closed our first 6-digit deal from Facebook. So in terms of job targeting and job functions, job function targeting is the best, I believe, in order to reach the audience. And we start with the job title targeting, but it limits your reach. Because someone might have a weird job title, someone might only have sales in their job title, and if you go with job titles, you would be missing that. I do have a LinkedIn post that I can share after this call, in which I explained job title versus job function difference and what was the difference. But yeah, in a nutshell, job function is doing much better than job titles. Uh, tick, tick, tick. I think this is for you, Tim. Yeah.
How long do you A/B test the variations for this? I think it's dependent on how bad or good the ad is performing. If there's not real any differences, we'd probably look after maybe about a 2 week. I don't know, Canberk. To be fair, we do look at all the engagement metrics and stuff like that, but Canberk would be the ultimate kind of decision as whether the ad will get turned off and when it would get turned off. But we wouldn't turn any ad off before a week. It would always last more than a week or a week and a half unless it was really tanking. But yeah.
In terms of budget, I mean, there's no minimum budget, but this totally depends on your region, totally depends on your audience size. But if you are targeting the US, I would say at least $50 every day for a US audience. But for the UK, I think $30, $35 would be enough. But again, this totally depends on your target market, target audience, because these biddings are all up to other companies who are also targeting these people. I didn't say you cannot retarget on Facebook. You cannot create a single image ad viewer retargeting audience on Facebook. You can still retarget on Facebook by website visitors, by Instagram page visitors, by Facebook company page visitors, video viewers, but you cannot do a single image ad targeting just like you do on LinkedIn. Tick, tick, tick. You can technically use conversation ads for all of your audience, for cold audiences as well. But if your audience is larger, probably it wouldn't work. In the awareness phase, we do prefer educating people in feed because first, it is much cheaper. If we send them to our website, a traffic campaign costs significantly higher than the reach campaign, but the cost per reach is always cheaper on LinkedIn. Therefore, we can target our audience in a much cost-effective way. And the other thing is that if we use the traffic, probably the amount of website visitors we will get will be limited, and we cannot create a proper retargeting audience. Uh, and also, the reach won't be as bigger as we have on the reach campaign. Therefore, even if we create a single image remarketing audience, it won't be as big as a reach campaign audience. The paid team is structured. I would say everyone owns a part of channel, and this is actually a bit like the demand gen structure. Uh, One of the people in my team is responsible for the LinkedIn sales persona and Facebook. The other owns LinkedIn marketing persona and Reddit. The other owns LinkedIn DA and YouTube. And there is another person joining. They will be owning LinkedIn revenue operations, and the other person will be owning LinkedIn CSM. And the demand gen team structure is similar. Tim, do you want to carry on?
I can go. So as Canberk was saying, we're kind of split into we split all of our campaigns into main personas, and that is how like the demand generation team, we're split into different pods based on the persona. So we have a sales pod, which I'm in, we have a marketing pod, and then we have a RevOps pod, and then there's a dedicated demand gen content executive that will then sit in that pod with the demand gen manager, and then they'll work really closely on all the content and the other demand gen initiatives, whether that's the podcast, newsletter, and stuff like that. And then we also have someone that works specifically in an actual activation role across all of the pods, who will then support the demand generation manager in getting ads live, getting landing pages live. Really that go-to person that is just amazing. It's being so efficient in helping us.
Let's see. I noticed a drastic drop in organic reach and impressions since I started experimenting with LinkedIn ads. Uh, I'm not sure. I don't think we have noticed anything like that. Uh, but it could be seasonal. In terms of LinkedIn audience network, I definitely do not recommend that because it is something that you cannot track, you cannot measure, and in any of the platforms, I don't like audience expansions like on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google. I never use them because your targeting should be really to the point, and you need to be really laser focused when it comes to targeting. On reach campaigns, I mean, the objective is not to drive conversions. However, apparently we get conversions. Like even if we are not after conversions, some of the rich campaigns actually generate conversions because we are seeing, I would say maybe 2-3% of these ads, people click on the campaign and either they convert right away or they convert in the next 7 days, but they do convert even though we do not necessarily uh, look for that. F- how does uploading Cognism data to Meta? So Cognism's data in Europe is unmatched, and I'm not saying this because I'm a Cognism employee. Like we tested, and I have used our competitors in my previous companies, and also I use metadata with these providers. None of them worked. But when it comes to B2B targeting on Facebook, Cognizant's data really work, and I think this is because of the accuracy. Like the accuracy is super good, and we actually have a almost LinkedIn level targeting on Facebook. Why doesn't interest-based targeting work for B2B SaaS? Because you are not selling a $10 product. If you are selling a 20 grand product, 30 grand product, you need to be laser focused. You cannot target by people who are looking for uh, tech products because people could be looking for 8 of different tech products. Uh, and like, yeah, interest-based is not a suitable way for B2B. I don't know how else I could say. Tick, tick, tick. We have more. Is there anything I miss? If I miss anything, auto optimization, definitely not. Definitely not. This is the first thing I tell when I hire a new person to my team. Do not do anything that Google says. The auto recommendations, optimizations, they are the ultimate way for you to burn your money. Definitely do not use any auto recommendations on Google, especially on Google. Tick, tick, tick. How do you? If I am missing, please let me know. Team, are you missing anything?
Um, I'm just.
So we don't use lead gen forms on LinkedIn. I mean, we don't see the point, to be fair. Like, I'm not talking about the lead gen campaigns, like I'm not talking about ebooks, but I know that we can use the lead gen forms on the conversation ads, on the any remarketing ads, but it is about intent. Like this is something I didn't test at Cognism, but I did test in my previous companies or the other companies I'm being the consultant of. And okay, you might be getting lead form submissions, but the intent is not as high as the person's intent who comes to your website. They don't remember you most of the times. And when you look at the conversion rates between the lead gen forms and actual website visitors, probably you will see the difference. Our website form submission to meeting attended, meeting booked, meeting attended opportunity rates are really low, like really high. Like I mean, really high. And probably we wouldn't be having this kind of numbers with lead gen forms. And if we were after the number of MQLs, okay, lead gen forms would be a good way to for us to improve the number of MQLs. But since we are after having a proper conversion rate and a really good pipeline, we only use the website conversions.
Do you
Uh,
want to take this one?
which one? I mean, it all starts with one campaign. And in my previous company, my budget was not really high, and I still start with some tests. Like you can always create a test with like I don't know 3% of your budget, 4% of your budget, just one campaign. And product value campaigns are always the low hanging fruits. You can create a really simple product value campaign, no click, and maybe run it to a limited audience, like maybe 50K audience, 60K audience, really targeted, really laser focused targeting audience, and then try to use the LinkedIn demographics report. Look at that campaign, look at the companies that you reach, and try to match that list with your CRM. Like if any of these people from these companies actually came to your website, if you are using a website visitor tool, or if look at your demo, like if companies that you got you gave your impressions in this campaign actually ended on your website and submitted a form. uh this is a long term, like you need to give it like maybe 6 weeks, 7 weeks, but this could be a great way to understand that if this might work if this will work for you.
Guess this is a good one. If you haven't, I can't remember if you answered it.
When you start a new campaign to an existing audience but to an existing audience, do you start with awareness or present? Uh, so this depends on the campaign type. Depending on the campaign, we use the remarketing audience, but we split the remarketing. Like not all the remarketing audiences are equal for us. A single image ad viewer remarketing audience is not a remarketing audience, but it is not a cult. So it is like cult plus audience, and they have different campaigns. But if they have seen 50% of my video, then they are a warmer audience. So the content we serve for this audience is different. But all of the audiences are different, and all of the campaigns actually depend on the audience. Like we first ask to ourselves who we are going to target, and if we are going to target people who have seen a social proof sales video by 50%, at least 50%, then the campaign changes accordingly. But if it is only cold campaign, then the campaign type changes accordingly. Tick, tick, tick.
Just lost where I was.
Thank you, Tim. You are so helpful. Otherwise, I was so lost. Tick, tick, tick. Anything I missed? Are we spending less than 50 grand per month? More than uh D a lot.
Don't think we've answered this one.
I think this is for you.
Yeah. From the sales persona, as I said, we're aligned to the sales pod. It's a good question. I guess the creatives and the messaging differs from our perspective in sales, and it's all dependent on whether they're an enterprise or a commercial segment. So we'll change the messaging, how we kind of get our point across. The creatives might be the same, but the messaging will be really different. So I wouldn't say there's huge changes between enterprise and commercial, but they're probably the only kind of different the times when we'll change it by customer segment.
On the last webinar, you referenced a training pack on capital optimization. Actually, now we are working on it. The marketing pod is working on it, and we will be actually releasing our whole paid team training and paid team playbook probably around summer. Do you continue to remove audiences from the code layer? No, like we actually don't remove the audiences from the code layer after they have interacted. We only remove the live opportunities. So if we are having a live opportunity, we remove them. If we have a close lost or close won deal, we remove them. But we remove the close lost deals for only 90 days, so last 90 days, and we do it with metadata. Other than that, until they submit the form and until they become an opportunity, we do not remove any of the audiences. Tiago, I saw your question. Okay, perfect. A person is the code layer for a month and doesn't convert. Is there any way after a month of engagement and no conversions to migrate this user to a specific and new campaign? I think you can do it with uh, if it is a single image ad campaign, you can do it with creating a single image remarketing audience for that campaign specifically. If it is a video campaign, you can do the same. You can do like people who have watched 25% of this video, so your remarketing audience will be higher on the video. But apart from that, if we are talking about LinkedIn, and if we are talking about a person in the cold layer who didn't convert, probably this is the only way. If they visit your website, you can also use the website visitors. But yeah, I think this is the only way.
I think that's the questions done.
Oh. Anything else? We have 3 minutes. Gonna count to 5,
There we
4.
go.
Oh, this is for Tim.
Any tips on improving conversions on landing page? So the way that we're measuring performance of landing pages now, there's a number of different metrics that we use. So ultimately, you are looking at how many conversions you are getting off the back of that, but then comparing that to how many page views you're getting. So how many like people are coming to your page. So then you can work out right the conversion rate from that. And then the other things to measure are bounce rate. So you want that as low as it can be. Exits per view, and time on page is another big one. So especially on more product focused landing pages where you're not always looking to get a conversion straight away. You want your time on page to be as high as possible, so you know that they're consuming the content. And another thing that we're looking at is through software called Hotjar, which basically presents heat maps back. So then you can tell the exact wireframes of where people are engaging. So, for example, last week, we've been running a landing page for a couple of weeks. And then we went back to go and measure the performance of that. And we saw that a lot of engagement was people were scrolling past the entire main page and was looking at the bottom, and it was actually our pricing part of the landing page, and the most of engagement was coming from there. So what we did was we moved that up and we condensed all the other areas to be more compact, so we had still the main messages, but then we had the pricing right underneath, so we could have everything in that one wireframe, because ultimately that's the most important, because people do have low attention spans. You want to get as much information as possible to people in that one wireframe. So yeah, that's probably probably best on how we're measuring performance of landing pages.
And we have one question for A/B testing. In our case, I don't have a proper answer for it. Like it is mostly, it mostly depends on the campaign. Like all of my average answers, the answer is depends. Like if, to be fair, I don't see major difference in my whole career. Like I have never seen a difference like 90% to 10%, 80% to 20%. But sometimes you just know, like when you know. And to be fair, if the difference is not significant, we don't kill any of the tests. Like we carry on running the campaign, running this in the same campaign. Like it does not always necessary that you need to kill one ad. You can keep 2, 3 ads on the same time. Tick, tick, tick. Is there an ideal audience size range one should be? I would say Depending on the region, maybe 60K, 70K minimum for the US, like minimum. For EMA, I would say 40, 45 K. But to be fair, we try to keep the audiences more than 100K, 150K. Yeah, I think we are done.
Yeah. Finally.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you everyone for today. Thank you everyone joining. Thank you for all of your questions. And if you have any other questions, you can always reach us. Tim, do you wanna tell your final words?
Yeah, just any questions, just drop us a DM on LinkedIn or anything. Always happy to help. But yeah, been good to be on. So hopefully I'll see you soon.
See you everyone. Bye bye.